Hello, this is another review and feedback of StarCraft 2. From the get go, I'm going to notice something very interesting. We have a Masters player, Barcode, and Opidig as a Diamond player. I believe that their MMR places them squarely in Diamond 3. Barcode, I believe I've faced before, and if I'm not mistaken, they do some. They probably shouldn't be in that MMR range, but I might be mistaken. I'm not trying to call anybody out here. That's not what I'm doing right now. If I wanted to call you out, I'd go through your history and all that kind of stuff and point out a bunch of games and show that you should be in the location. You can see there's some interesting play for both players. I just got out of this MMR range. I figured out how to execute a little bit better, clean up my builds, and be a little bit more multi-prong oriented. I have a feeling that the feedback is going to be very similar for how to improve and beat through against basically Ling Bang Muta that we're seeing here. As you can see, there are some supply blocks. Ling Bang Muta does that sometimes, so I can't be critical of build order without actually looking into it. But I don't want to put us in a situation where we're going to make too many judgments before we get going. So without further ado, here we're going to load into the game. And Opidig is the one that asked for the feedback. He posted on the All Things Terran or StarCraft 2 subreddit. I think it was All Things Terran. A little bit of a longer game, so we're going to go ahead and skip through when we can. I'm going to do his first person perspective for a little bit. He looks like he's getting camera hotkey locations, which is something I am working on. I'm very bad at doing that. Placing one on your main isn't necessarily a bad choice, just to be very clear. Raleigh is over his first SCV 15 minerals late. Not a big deal. Just that's like a half a second, quarter second time that you're not going to be producing an SCV. I prefer to do the location that makes it so that the mineral walk distance is the shortest. That's the far location. I know that some of the professionals do the far location. In this instance, it's fine. Minor things. I'm not good enough to take advantage of that differentiation. Hitting his timing on his refinery, I mean, he gained 20 minerals at the same time and was able to utilize it before it finished counting up. Awesome job there. Doing a great job. This is one of those situations where you have the choice to send a SCV to scout. I like to do that recently. It has stopped a lot of shenaniganery. I'm able to scout out when I'm doing a roach build. There's your scout. Nice. You're a couple seconds behind when I do. No big deal, as long as you have a consistent, comfortable time so you know what you're expecting. I think you know this. You're in Diamond. You're right around where I am. And so you can kind of get an experience gaining what you're looking for, trying to see what your opponent's doing, making sure that they're not like proxy hatching you or roach-all-inning or something along those lines, which I think you kind of understand the concept of doing. Executed perfectly with regards to the speed and expectations of a Diamond player. Basically what I would be doing, if not a little bit faster than me, with regards to checking. I'm going to pause right there for a second. That was a good scout. Good. Your build order looks good so far. So there's two choices here. You can scout here, see that they're doing this, and then go over here and block the third. Or you could go into the main, check gas count. The Reaper gets over here relatively quickly. I mean, obviously, we're going to send it over there. I don't know if I would send it right into the main. I probably would send it to the front door, so that way you can find those roaches as they're coming out if you decide to skip the gas. But finding out that they have the expansion at this timing, you know that they went hatch first. Right? You look at the stage, how far it's been built, you can click on it, all that good stuff. That means the spawning pool has to be behind it, which means that there's most likely not going to be a roach timing that's coming out. You can continue to scout, but just be aware that there is a timing that a lot of Zergs like to do where they get their third right about now. They're like going to send out their extra drone soon, and they're going to make it so that they're on 3 base and you're on 2 base, and they're just being they're countering the fact that you're being greedy, playing a greedy build with this specific mention. It is the meta currently. Just to be very clear, that's something I want to make sure that I articulate at some point on one of these videos, and I think this is a great one because you're at a skill level where it's important to see it. Also, clicking on the spawning pool, checking gas, all that good stuff. You did a great job. At this point, you want to deny that third as long as you can, or make it so that if you're going to do Wait for Mule drop. Mule drop. Mule drop. Okay, so you're going to do a 1-1-1 build probably. Yep, there's a 1-1-1 build. Depending on what you're trying to do, there's good things and bad things around this build. I personally like this build, but I don't open the gate because of Lings getting in. You also want to, with your Reaper, you really want to deny the third as long as you can. You're not going to just stop it entirely, right? You just want to slow it down as much as you can. Getting 1 or 2 kills is not worth the difference of slowing down a base. Also, you're going to take damage on your Reaper, all that kind of stuff. You can do this. It's not a bad choice, but you cannot lose the Reaper, and you lost your Reaper because you're too far deep. Your opponent is scouting. He's checking what you're doing, all that good stuff. You are late on your second gas. As soon as your factor goes down, you know the gas. That's why I'm not necessarily a good friend. I don't love the 1-1-1 build, unless you're doing mech, which we'll see what you're doing here. Looks, yep, there's a 1-1-1. Mech is a slightly different interaction that you're going to do. Bunker is useless. Don't do bunker. And if you're going to do a bunker, don't put it that far forward. You're not protecting your mineral line. They just run by. You don't have the supply depot wall. Your command center that you'll eventually go should go there. Never put your engineering bay in the wall either. The reason being is that they can Daemling bust that or deny your +1 if you decide to go bio. If you're going to go mech or starport, then fine, not a big deal. The biggest thing here so far is you lost your Reaper. Can't do that. You cannot at all. Good job on your add-ons. You're keeping your money spent. Not perfectly balanced, but that's okay. Making sure that you're not setting up an over saturation. You're not building SCVs on both these. That's very important. You're behind income-wise. You've hurt yourself a pretty decent amount. Your opponent did supply cap themselves. So I'm going to check across the map, see what's going on. It's because they are doing a very, very fast Spire, it appears. This base should be basically saturated before you get your Spire if you're going to do a true build. So this is a unorthodox, weird something or other. That being said, you're going across the map, you're building up Banshees, which is great. Your opponent may or may not have identified that you're doing 1-1-1 and decided that they want to deny that Banshee. Bio is a great way to handle what you're really interacting with. Yep, you can see there's no workers there. That's really scary. You want to, you know that they're going to do some 2-base shenaniganery. Specifically, we're talking Spire, Roach, Nidus, Canal, something along those lines. That is enough Hellions that you should be able to do some really good damage. Too much micro. I'm not trying to, you're not doing anything terribly, right? Slightly too much micro, no big deal. And you're not getting the workers. The workers are what you care about. Lings are, you just don't want to get caught by them, etc. You sacrificed your build for doing Ling kills. That's not great. Turrets need to go up instantly in the mineral line. Okay. Let's be very clear. Where you place turrets, you place a minimum of right here. The reason being is when those mutas come in, you take your workers and you repair it, set them on auto repair and hold around it, and they will basically be able to keep that turret up forever and kill off the mutas. Same with this one right there, with a different location, right? This one, it's right here. So you have to look at the mineral orientation. You want it right in the middle. It does expose one or both of your refineries. So if you want to do an additional one like there and like there, you can. I would not overinvest, right? You don't know how many mutas he's going to bring in. You don't know how much gas he's gathered. You've obviously seen that he's gathering gas, and you can kind of click and guess. It's too much at our level. I would never, ever, ever expect you to be able to go, oh, he has like 800 gas because of this, this, and this. I just don't want you to think that, because it's too much to think about. Once you're like a GM, that's something you might need to do. Also, sniping this Overlord is really annoying. You want to supply cap and annoy your opponent as much as you can. Using that Banshee to help position that is great. He also hasn't put any defensive spores, so if you did get Cloak, you're going to be able to do a ton of damage. And if you were already doing a ton of damage with regards to the Hellions getting in. You killed like 6 workers, 8 workers. If you get that slowdown on them, that's going to make them so they have to be they're going to have to be a lot more aggressive and do more damage, and you can just sit back more. That being said, you built a ton of barracks. I mean, you're building 7 barracks at the same time. It means that you definitely failed your macro. So I would probably have grabbed an extra command center. Obviously, this one's going up, but instead of having 7 barracks going down at the same time, unless you intended to do that, like if you're going for an 8-rex, fine. 8-rex is a real build. It's a 3-base build. You're working on your 3rd base. You're not continuously building workers, which is a big issue, right? Like there's little things to improve. You can those continuous worker production, making sure that you fill in your production correctly, and then the placement of your turrets to save yourself money and positionally. And then you could take your Marines that you should have been producing the whole time, right? You only have 2 Marines, putting them in your mineral lines to surround those turrets as well, and or push away these refinery locations. Those kind of adjustments will massively improve your situation in this kind of opponent build. You have 2 Banshees, but you didn't get Cloak, and you didn't rally your stuff anywhere. It's just sort of kind of like, I don't want this to go to a specific location. Your opponent decides to go forward. You did a really good job of managing that over here. But you have nothing at home. You have 2 Marines. You are so late on producing anything of value. This is why I'm always scared of players going for also rally back. Man, you can't have idle workers. You can't have... You got to send them back to continue mining, right? You need to make sure you're saturating your stuff in a good situation with regards to that. Your opponent is building 9 mutas. Your turrets are way too spread out. They don't cover each other. So, like, if the mutas are fighting this turret, they're not fighting this turret. If they're fighting this turret, they're not fighting this turret. So that's why I was saying, like, this is a good location. This is a little... Yeah, that's okay. It's not great. Maybe here, and then one here. The reason that you do that is specifically because you want to have your turrets covering each other. Other things to take note. If you're going to go into tanks, you need to do a lot of tanks. I would probably have tried to get to Thor as soon as you saw the Spire. Also with this, make sure you're getting workers. Oh no. Killing an extractor is basically useless. I don't know. I mean, if you just sort of kind of control them in, that's okay. Don't lose a Banshee. No, it's not worth the death. You are messing up his income and how it's structured. He is F2ing everything. Your Banshees are sacrificed. These are things that happen, right? And he's like all over finding out how many bases you have, where you're at, and all that kind of stuff. These should all have tech labs or reactors on them, basically as soon as you can. You have a bunch of... you're oversaturated at this point. You should be actually so oversaturated at this point that you need to be in a 3rd base immediately. And if you'd taken, say, 2 of these turrets and placed them around on the map, you're going to be better off than where you're at now. Also, hunting down overlords. Build a Viking. You don't have anything in your production for your starport. You have the money. Build literally 1 Viking and hunt down all these overlords. Just like rally back and forth right in front of your base. Send him around on any of his extra bases. And then he's not getting any extra creep. So... yeah, just you don't have to worry about him seeing where your stuff is and then you losing it to the mutas, because you're just going to be killing all these overlords. Supply capping your opponent is very useful and makes it so that their builds are all janky and stuff like that. You know he's going mutas. Tanks are not necessarily the choice. Again, probably Thor is where I'd go. You're building a lot of mech, no armory yet. And you need to get an armory at this point. Also, I like how you have the SCV that's part of your group here. Your army is not hotkeyed, so you need to hotkey your army, so that way you have your army all on 1 key. Pull those Marines back. F2 is great and all, but if you want to keep these Marines here to defend, you need to have the army that you're going to be moving around. Oop, you need to pull them back. And then you have so much energy. At this point, you might as well scan a few times on your opponent. See how many bases. Is he on this base? Is he on this base? How saturated? Is he on this base? How saturated? On this base? How saturated? Like, you want to make sure that you're not in a situation where you don't have any information and you have a ton of mules. In this instance, you're supply capped and you dropped all mules. Supply depot. I don't see any supply depots on the production tab. These are just basic mistakes that you can correct, and you're going to be a lot better. You have idle workers. Your F1 key or tilde or whatever the default is one of those things that I'd be paying attention to at the very least. You're going to lose these workers, unfortunately, because you have no defense, no turrets. You like defended up the main, but you didn't defend your third. One of those kind of things that I would be very trying to not make that mistake. Oh, that tank shot though, right there. Like, oh my goodness, let's go back like 5 seconds so we can get that. That was a beautiful tank shot. Oh, okay. Sorry. You're going to lose this base because you have no defense. Your army is not in position. You can't lower your wall sufficiently enough. You don't have the... You might keep it. Maybe. You don't have all of your bios updates and upgrades, but that's okay. Stim is there. Combat shield is missing. That overseer. Nice. Reestablish, repair. Take over your saturation. Put it back in your main or fully saturate this location. You are so low on workers. You should be about 70, 60 in this area. We're at 10 minutes. You should be close to maxing out. You've never gotten close to maxing out. I do like this supply depot wall. I would not continue to do that. Upgrade. It should be going. You have an armory completed somewhere. I don't know where it is. There it is. All your idle workers, man. You must be like a Zerg player main, so send all your stuff back after you're done using them. I mean, if you just had all of your, you have 11 workers that aren't doing anything, and of course your wall's shut. But okay, so you send it all out to that base. You also have a tech lab that's sitting still, and you have the ability to have an extra barracks on it or something along those lines. Where's your medevacs? Your medevac production has been lacking this whole time. I don't think I've seen a single one, actually. Your trades are great. You did a really good job of killing your opponent. He's going mutas. Lingbane muta. As soon as you won that fight, your medevac should have healed these up and you should have crossed the map. Like, that's what you should have been doing. He's obviously coming to attack you now. Repair this up. Back to max health. Get turrets back up because you know he's got Lingbane muta. Get like 2, maybe 3 because of how you saw his investment. Sensor tower is great. I like to put a turret right next to it so that when the mutas go in to try and snipe it, they just get screwed. Or you throw down 2 Widow Mines. 2 Widow Mines kill all mutas that stack up. Oh no, Burrow! Oh, goodness me. You don't need to send all of your units. You could send in like a handful. This is the F2 problem, right? And you stem everything. No matter your medevac count is 2. If you had stemmed like, say, this group of army, just select the group and then stem at it, you'd been much better off. Your opponent at this point is just powering up, and you've done nothing to stop them. You've been on your side of the map for the better part of 5 minutes. As soon as you lost those Hellions, you haven't touched the other side of the map. That's not something you want to do. Terran is about being harass heavy, so like do a drop outside of their vision, like over here. Make sure you kill all these overlords. Like send a drop out that like. And then as you see the overlords, kill them. Make sure you're continuously expanding. That's important. I like how he hasn't been using overseers and you just getting stuff. Fights are going well. Again, you are Terran. Ouch. As I said, repair that, repair that, repair that. Don't lose that. Whew. You want to make sure that those things are at full health. Make sure your bio is going up. You should lower these at this point. Just reposition your tanks forward a little bit further. This tank did great. Maybe repair it. Get your army all grouped up. You need to do damage, right? He's going to be doing whatever he's going to be doing. If you get caught like that, you need to just click on it and hit D to drop. I'm going a little bit fast because it's a long, long game. Right? If you denied this base and this base, this army cannot exist. He just doesn't have that much stuff that he can have because you just have too much, or he doesn't have the income to support it. So you also know he's going primarily mutas, so or at this time he's leaving a little bit of mutas only. So I don't know if I would continuously build. Like I might. It's hard to say because getting Marines is like really, really useful. Liberators are great for his inevitable transition. God, he just has so much stuff. When you do Widow Mines, don't put them up against the building. Put them out a little bit so that it's when they're still grouped up versus when they're spread out. Again, you're not getting the other side of the map. You have a ton of idle workers. Like, look, if we go and look at you, you have 19 workers that are sitting there doing nothing. With the Liberators versus the Mutas, I would not siege up on my opponent at all, ever. That was a great little run by. Make sure you have the upgrade to keep your stuff underground. Widow Mines need to be spread out, but otherwise that was really good. And honestly, that would have been better than what I did. Ooh. So he just built mostly. Oh my god, this is the problem right now. You're doing so much damage and wiping his army and all that stuff, but you're not actually slowing him down. You're not killing him because you haven't hurt his income. He has double your workers. He's inevitably going to crush you because he's just able to, while he's idle workers, he's getting them, basically they're continuously getting income in locations for the most part, right? He's got this location. He's got this location. He has only one worker here on a one patch. He doesn't have any workers on two empty patches. Not a big deal. He only has these idle workers here. Right, if we go click on him, his number of idle workers. Okay, why are you not showing me the number of idle workers? This must have just happened, like it hasn't had the chance. Yeah, there it is. I was so quick on it. I paused it at the perfectly wrong moment. Notice how he has only 3 idle workers, and that was literally instantaneous on it. The number of workers you had that were not doing anything was 19 for a long time. That's a lot of income. You're not also resaturating. You're letting it oversaturate. You're oversaturating. You didn't put any turrets up. You're taking an expand via your main, throwing it all the way over here because you've just not been expanding. You should be on like out to this base at least, maybe out to this base as well. With the trades that you've been taking and the fights you've been taking, great. You've been doing awesome. I would have moved these tanks further forward after the fights and stuff. They're keeping you alive. They've done a lot of kills. They're a great position right now, but you lost all of this space. You need to reposition. Also, throwing down more sensor towers, right? Throwing a sensor tower here would make it so you have like this whole vision out here. Or like take this base and sensor tower and a couple 3 turrets with a planetary. You would be much, much better off than where you're at. Also, again, lowering these bases. Where's your armory? Upgrade your weapons, right? Your tanks have been doing so much work. Your Widow Mines have been doing so much work. You need those kind of upgrades to stay ahead. You don't necessarily need that many medevacs at this point. I don't really like going above like 8 to 10. Good harass. Unfortunately, way too little, way too late. Yep, nice spread. You did a good job there, doing what you need to do. You just ran that end, unfortunately. Your control is actually really solid. Like, I don't really have many complaints about your control. It's your macro that hurts. Again, idle workers not going to where you need to go. Killing bases like super late. It's just not getting you there. Yeah, having all of those Widow Mines stacked up like that. It's like, did you see how that? Okay, let's slow this down for a minute. If you go back here, right? Let's look. We have, what is that? 8 Widow Mines, 7 Widow Mines, 7 Widow Mines. Okay. If those 7 Widow Mines were spread out just a little bit more, you do a lot more damage. You want to know why? Because if you look, those 7 hit the same spot for all of them at the same time. And then he clears all of them with like a handful of Banes. Totally harmful. If you look, when he comes over with his next follow-up of units, okay, this Widow Mine does fine. It's good chunk. These 2 or 3 Widow Mines get a similar number as that 7 set kill that you did over here. So that gives you an idea. Also, move the Marines back versus A moving, and double-click a Marine to do that versus doing all of that fancy dancy microing. Again, Thors would be great to prevent this. Your opponent did it. He's just got you. Your income's just not there anymore. So, I mean, you're doing great to try and replenish it, but you kneecapped yourself. He grabbed this base, this base, this base, this base, this base, this base, this base. You only grabbed this base, this base, this base, and this base, and that base was super late. You've just basically put yourself in a situation where you're just never going to be able to fight him. He's basically taunting you at this point. Because he has so much money, he does not care. He can remax. The thing that is going to keep you in this game is you running him out of larva, and you keeping all of your bio alive. So you can still fight this back, but it's going to be really, 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 really hard because you have 24 workers in this base. This base is idle. You didn't ever establish this base. This base is gone now, and he just has the ability to continue to remax, rebuild, and continue to be a nuisance. Well, you can't really leave your base because you got to protect all your workers. These are all stacked up. Like if you put two here, and then like one here or something. You got you really good timing. That Widow Might Need Spura. He's gonna blow up all your workers, and that's pretty much game. Yep, there it is. So the positives. Your opener was really good. You didn't really do anything bad. You had a little bit of extra gas floating, but not too bad. On your opener, I would not send your Reaper in unless it's just going to poke in and get out. And then you want to deny that third base going down or that third base going down. And your SCV should block the other one. Mid-game, you need to be more active. You sat back really, 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 really long, and you messed up your macro when you were harassing with your Hellions. Your Hellion play, very smart. You did a pretty good job with it. You didn't do anything that was like, oh, I fucked up. Cleaning out the Lings actually was very powerful if you had the army behind it. So if you continue to macro, basically, if you're hotkeying your army or your buildings, make sure that you're producing stuff on the backside, right? You have a 13 on your number 4, so hit number 4, hit MMMM or AAA or whatever it is for you to do your Marines. For me, it's A. Just like hold that down. Make sure you get that. Tab, get whatever factory unit you need to get. Tab your starport units, your medevacs. You would have won this game if you had, say, 3 racks producing Marines and Marauders and medevacs at the same time when you lost those Hellions. Like if you had that army, as soon as you lost those Hellions and you started marching across the map, you would have won. Other things. You did a great job of doing a bunch of production. I love it. The downside is you didn't give yourself enough command centers to support it properly long term. So what I mean by that is this is going to start mining out right around when you started to build those 8 barracks. If you had built fewer turrets and positioned them a little bit better and built a command center and 1 less barrack, so you went 7 barracks instead, you would definitely be able to get another location. So you could have taken this one, floated it here, take the other one, and floated it here. Here. I went too far over. And that way you now have 4 bases, and he's on 4 bases or 3 bases. I think we were right around here when that happened. Yeah, where he doesn't even have this base saturated. So you did a really good job with that. The Banshees, I didn't really watch them, but you kind of like sent them over without cloak or any of that kind of stuff, and you knew that he was going Muta. And so if you don't have cloak, you don't send him out. You just don't. You keep him at home because you can't. He'll just kill him off. Other bits, you have a little bit of oversaturation, resaturation issues. Make sure you rally your workers back to the mineral line. When you build something as Terran, just right-click the mineral line afterwards, unless it's like your supply depot guy. Like the guy that just builds supply depots forever. That's a different conversation. Later on, you did really good. I don't like your wall. I understand why you built it the way you did, but you don't want to lose your +1 or +2 or +3 later on in the game. That's why you want to put it like back here or back here around your turrets and your other stuff. Make him go deep for it, and that way it's like it's there. You get it throughout the game. I like building 2 eBays at the same time and a armory at the same time. But if you don't do that, that's okay. But just be aware that you need to make sure that you time your next eBay and your next armory at the same time. And I think there is a build by Maro that does that, and I think you might have been emulating that. So don't. You did fine, right? No big deal. Maro would have had all these up. He would have had all these. You'd have all your idle workers back. You have 3 workers not doing anything. That's a lot of income. You're not dropping mules. You're not scanning. You have both. issues, right? You could do both, one or the other. This was a good option, but you need to pull these Marines back afterwards, right? You kill this, pull it back. You don't have enough army to like protect against the mutas that you know he has because you saw him have them. What else? Multi-prong. You don't need to lift anymore, right? If you are when you hit a certain point in the game and you know they have mutas, you just don't pick up your army. You just send the medevacs out with a contingency of Marines. So you go, this group, right? You just make this, hotkey it, and then maybe you control click your medevacs and have it attack one of your Marines, or you stim early so that your medevacs actually heal the Marines and stick with them. And then with this, same concept. You take this group, you send it around and go a different direction. Multi-prongs. It's not like a GM level multi-prong, but it is going to stretch your opponent thin. And what you could do is, you see their army, like pay extra close attention at that time, pull your army back, push this one forward, push when they pull away, push this one forward, pull this one back, so on and so forth. So that way your opponent has to go back to back to back to back to back. He's building a giant bank, but remember, he's Zerg. That's great. That's what he expects to do. You have done no damage to him. His income is at 73 workers. Yours is at 48. You are 30 workers behind, or 20 workers behind. It's like he killed a command center worth of workers because you didn't continuously produce them and you don't have them saturated and working. Look at the income differential here. This is why you lost. Right here. This is the true reason you lost. Everything else, I think you did a really good job. Like, your control was good. Your Widowmine decision making was pretty solid. Your ability to separate out was good. Your repairing certain units when you needed to repair them was good. You did not get really supply blocked at any time. There was a couple. I mean, there was definitely times, right? And you decided to mule drop versus make sure you didn't supply drop. So instead of check your supply before you drop your mules, just in case you fuck up. You're a Terran. That's what we do, right? Your turret, a little too many turrets in the backfield, but okay. Like, you're worried about Muta. I get it. I hate Muta. They really mess me up too. You didn't continuously turret up your new bases, right? You have all these new bases. This one, you got a couple, but like the mutas could come over here and just attack here. That's why you want to have that turret like right here, so that way it protects your entire mineral line. This base never had a turret ever. This base you took way too late. Yada yada yada. I already covered that. I don't need to rehash it. That being said, GG's. You did a great job, and I look forward to hopefully seeing another game from you for me to look at, and hopefully it'll be a much higher MMR because it looked like you had the ability and you were doing really good with it. Thanks. Bye-bye.